welcome to Dinis Guarda YouTube podcast series, continuing the work of profiling some of the great and most influential personalities in the world of technology and business, and as well trying to push forward the boundaries of more and more what it means to be human in the time of AI, business, and all the accelerations that we are facing. Once again, we are powered by businessabc.net and citiesabc.com, and as well in partnership with the upcoming sportsabc.org. We're very excited, and we've been actually profiling more and more personalities that I think, first of all, I found amazing their body of work, the definitions of pushing the boundaries around technology, around business, and especially I would say that the biggest challenge is translating all the complexity and simplicity. And today, I think, I'm welcoming for a Take-Two personality and someone that I really deeply admire. And I think it's probably one of the most fascinating personalities when it comes to the boundaries of business, fintech, finance and technology, blockchain, and of course, AI. So I welcome for the Take-Two, and we'll put the link for the Take-One that we did actually a couple of years ago. It was one of my first guests, so I'm very excited to welcome again. So Xiaochen Zhang. Xiaochen Zhang is someone you cannot put in a box because it's outside of a box, and he actually breaks the boxes and creates new boxes, I would say, starting like that. And he's been with over 2 decades of experience in leadership and initiatives that drive all the areas of innovation around business and social impact. He is the founder and CEO of Fintech4Good, a global network that collaborates with startups, industry leaders, nonprofits, and investors to harness all the areas of immersive technologies, and especially blockchain, artificial intelligence, metaverse, and cloud computing for being used for good. And he serves as well as a Chief Responsible AI Officer and Executive Director at AI2030, an initiative aimed at harnessing the transformative power of AI to benefit humanity while minimizing its potential negative impacts. And is as well the CEO of Frontier Blockchain. So some of other achievements and career areas that I think it's important to highlight, especially for the people that are seeing for the first time. Xiaochen is also been very associated as the Global Head of Innovation and GMT at Amazon Web Services, where he's been playing a role in delivering cutting-edge fintech solutions in areas such as digital assets, central bank digital currency, green finance, and regulatory and supervisory technologies. Some of his work and associations have been with the likes of the organizations like Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance, the International Telecommunication Union, and a lot of other organizations from the United Nations CAP Women Enterprise Impact Investment Fund. Xiaochen serves as well as a mentor for women leaders in the Open Banking Expo Women in their leading program. He's also an adjunct professor at the business school at China University of Political Science and Law. And the list goes a bit further, but I think I would highlight for the sake at least of this, and I'll put all the links. But I think one of the things that I find amazing in the work of Xiaochen is all his work in putting together highly technology and research academic work with business, maturity, events, and as well global top first organizations. Today we're going to be talking as well about the initiative that is leading, that is the AI 2030, and a lot of the things related with this. Xiaochen, thank you again for coming here. I'm very excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm very excited to continue, the conversation. And, from this introduction, definitely it's clear that, Business ABC hasn't been reached, because when you just look at the long list of things that I even, some of them, and I totally didn't pay attention to them, but, you and your team from Business ABC are able to find all my information. And, so I appreciate that.
No, you are the force of nature, and I love as well your energy. So, Xiaochen, let's start with so the last 2 years have been very busy since the last time we spoke. And of course, as well, this channel grew quite significant. If you were one of the first ones, now we are top 1,000 in the world in business and tech. and hopefully you're going to be doing a lot of things. But as well, one of the things that happened is definitely technology changed radically. And the last meeting, we were in COVID times, and now we are in AI disruption, almost AGI times. So in terms of your work, let's a bit look at the last few years. And I think it's interesting because sometimes we are so dense to work on the present that we forget a bit the context. And a bit of what happened in the last few years and a bit of background for people, what you've been doing and what you are excited to push forward.
Yeah, definitely. And, from our last conversation, and I was at that time still at Fintech4Good. And, that was the company I built after I left the World Bank. And mainly, the goal was trying to just build emerging technology-based ventures, help them to solve a good problem. And one of the problems that was specifically around central bank digital currency and how to help central banks to have vehicle to transform the future of finance. And through that work that, I was contacted by the headhunt and say, AWS was trying to just establish a new vertical and with public sector financial institution and central bank's core, customer category. That's we see your background and then we're interested. And so at that time, I was a new dad. And with COVID, I want to stay at home with my children. So then it was good click. And so then I left the operation of Fintech4Good for a couple of years and then joined AWS, build out the public sector financial institution vertical, where that we help to manage assets, managing risk, managing stakeholder, managing data for set of financial institutions. And then just, I think now around 12 months ago, and I think that's definitely, I want to start a new chapter in my career, which I see the potential of AI, and especially, it has a positive and also negative. And, with AI, it's very different from, other emerging technologies. This is really the time where that's humans fundamentally being impacted. And the work itself need to be redesigned, and the society in general will be, impact tremendously. So then how to just do AI responsibly becoming something, and I care so much that, if I don't do it as a full-time and I cannot sleep. So that's why, I started AI2030 and trying to just build a global movement and on responsible AI. From the name, you can see it. And we try to just really mainstream responsible AI by 2030, and AI and responsible AI as two categories will disappear. That all AI will be responsible. That's our ultimate goal. So from the goal, as you can see, I cannot make that happen, and one organization cannot make happen. So that's why we build out this, bottom-up, member-based organization, and through empowering the members, and we can achieve the goal together. So currently, I'm working with over 500 some AI experts across 10 countries, and working together to make AI to be fair, accountable, secure, safe, and sustainable, and privacy preserved, and using those to guide corporate research, development, and adoption. And hopefully that's by creating a global movement that we can achieve this together.
No, it's amazing. So, and I think this discussion is more important than ever. So first of all, congratulations for your child. So going through a bit, let's just, for people that are not so familiar, so before we go deep in the AI, and I have a lot of questions here, but a bit of what is Fintech4Good for people that are not so familiar. And of course, I will put the links for the previous interview, but I think it's still important to have it in your background. So what it is, how does it work, and how people can use it? Because of course, special Fintech4Good is still very important because Fintech is still a powerhouse that touches everything in the economy, and we need a lot of that work.
Absolutely. And when I was still at World Bank, and we did tons of, research service, trying to just identify what are the, most challenging problem for startups to, develop in emerging market in developing countries. And it always comes back that access to finance was the top challenge. And of course, that's, in developing country in general, that's there is a shortage in capital. But the bigger problem is really not, in lack of capital. It's more as how to just make the capital more efficient and how to match the right capital with the right type of business. Those are, really important gaps which can be addressed by emerging technology. So, I after I left the World Bank, and then I took that mission as, how to solve the problem of identifying the right financial instruments through emerging technology to do better matching, and using fintech to make other business model to be commercially viable. Those becoming the core challenge that's a fintech for good try to achieve or address. And then that's, the way how we do that is really through venture building, and we identifying the right entrepreneurs and also the corporate problems. And then through the incubation acceleration program or venture building process, and we help, entrepreneurs to leveraging emerging technology like blockchain, AI, metaverse, and other emerging technology to build fintech solutions. And then those solutions can be deployed in emerging markets, and where that's, help to address sustainable development goal related problem, which are, poverty reduction, financial inclusion, gender equality, and other, SDG related problems. So that's luckily that's we build a very strong ecosystem, and many of the startup also graduated from our incubation acceleration program, and I learned tons of things from them. And I also learned tons of gaps that's startup face. And many of them are really not around capital. It's how to present their case to the corporate, and how to go to market, how to just really build a brand, how to manage a team, and how to just really customize their solution based on the customer demand. There are tons of other issues other than capital, which the startups are facing, can be addressed by the ecosystem that we have curated. And I'm very happy that we with the ecosystem we build, and we are able to support many of them in their growth path. Yeah.
Now, so there's a lot of waves around the fintech ecosystem. Like you mentioned, the startups are facing more challenge than other. So from the World Bank to, of course, working with AWS, which of course is Amazon data clouding capacity, and as well creating this new venture right now, which we're going to be talking, that is the AI 2030. There's a lot of things. So how does it come? So how did it start, the idea of creating AI 2030? Why 2030? And a bit of the history of that program and what it is.
Yeah, definitely. That was basically, when I think about my next phase, in my professional life, and I want to align my work with what I really care a lot. And, fintech, we have just as we look at Fintech4Good in the past 7-8 years, and we have really achieved a lot through, especially around the blockchain-based innovation, and supported the emergence of blockchain-based ecosystem, and blockchain as emerging technology, and which has a lot of, up and down. But, as a technology, the adoption is just becoming a lot more mainstreamed. And for AI, it's definitely at its early stage in terms of responsible AI adoption. And AI adoption just is in accelerated speed, and this becoming worrying. And we have this publication called the AI2030 Watch. And our last issue was around the court case review. You can see just within months how many of these leading AI company is being sued by their customer, by their competitor, by the community. So it's not they want to sue them. It's because that's there are things which really impact them as a customer, as a competitor, as a community. And if AI is not being developed, researched, adopted in a responsible way, and then the broader societal impact will be tremendous. And there are a lot of things, you can fix it. But, if AI is not being done responsibly from beginning, the cost of fixing that is becoming so high. And that's, go back to a lot of the climate, environment related debates. And then many of the, economic growth model worldwide, have that, that's first pollute. Then we just, to just, clean it up. And then we can see that approach caused the climate change challenge, many of the environment. So that's the cost of cleaning up is a lot higher than if you can do it, differently from beginning. So similar to AI, if we just don't do it responsibly, even now we already see the challenge. Many of at the data labeling level where that data are not being labeled properly, and then AI are trained with wrong data, with wrong labels, and then that gives wrong insights. Those insights are, directed, really impact the decision making, and then people can make wrong decisions, impact the business, impact customers. And to correct those problems, you need to go back to, the original data, clean up the data and all that. That cost will be tremendous. So we're, another example is around the PII data privacy. That's, many of the AI are trained with data, PII data are part of that. And where that's, naturally, if you just open that AI to the public, and then many of the potential, individuals' privacy are exposed to millions or billions of people. And then that's the kind of impact, to correct that becoming a lot of cost, very costly. So many of those risks are, need to be addressed now, and we cannot wait until the problem, it already surfaced at large scale, until, from litigation where that's, the core company just being, fined and all that. We cannot wait for that. So that's why there's an urgency that responsible AI need to be mainstreamed. And so that's why we create, AI 2030. And then with giving the timeline is really the more as a metaphor. Then, we can achieve by 2030. It's more as a metaphor. Responsible mainstream is responsible AI is urgent, and we do need to just make sure that it is the priority for those who are developing, researching, and adopting AI.
AI is right now, in one end, it's something that is transversal because it touches almost everything, and at the same time, of course, it can be a weapon. People are talking about an AI arms race. We're talking about, of course, all the different things around the agendas of AI, ethics, all the areas related with legal and compliance. You touch, of course, the challenge around legal, and especially a lot of lawsuits and different things. So the vision of AI 2030 seeks to shape global AI agendas and foster public-private collaboration, responsible developing and use of AI. So first of all, how does it work? So you have a network of work members, and you have the conference and global fellows. So explain to people that never heard it, and of course we'll put all the links, but AI2030.org is the major website. So how does it work? How can people be involved? What is the event? What is the organization? How people can be a member?
Yeah, so, mainstream AI is a tremendous task, and we cannot solve all the problem. We cannot focus all the problem. So that's why AI 2030, we have three focuses: responsible AI, AI for good, and AI for all. And from the responsible AI, as I mentioned, those are the 6 pillars we talked about. And AI for good, that's, using AI to address the impact of problem and align with SDG. And AI for all, that is, address, the problem of inequality within AI use adoption, all that. And we have winning AI leadership. We have, create open tools for SMEs, basically make AI to be inclusive for all. So those are the core 3 focus. Within those 3 focus, and we still cannot work on all the solving the problem. So we identify 3 gaps where that we think we can add value. One gap is around the awareness gap. So we need to just have more individuals, corporates, public sector, leaders understand the risk of, if of not doing AI responsibly and raising the profile of responsible AI. And that is the first challenge gap we see, and then we want to fill. So there, that we designed, daily show and called AI2030 show, and the biweekly roundtable called the future of the job of future. And we have, monthly in-person event called the Tech Pulse 2030. And we also have the quarterly large conference. And our next one is the Chicago AI Week. And within a week-long program starting from June 25th to 28th, that we, really curate, the agenda in the way. And we have regulators and financial leaders, big tech, and the small startups all coming together to just talk about, the how AI is transforming business, what are the challenges they face, what are the best practices they have just established, and how one sector's experience can be learned by the other, and what are the existing, legal framework, for example, introduced in Europe, can inform and the similar kind of, legal framework in other places. So yeah, there's a lot of very exciting, speakers, conversations, which will go into this week-long program. And that's the first pillar and first gap we want to address. The second is around the training or the talent gap within, responsible AI. Naturally, a lot of companies started trying to just, hire responsible AI officer or chief responsible AI officer. Sure, this person to just be, data scientist or engineer or a compliance person or a legal person or, an economist, and who can be a responsible AI officer and or specialist. That is something we need to really curate new learning paths for those individuals who have a passion to contribute to responsible AI, becoming the future of responsible AI professionals. So there, that's, we identified now 3 main changing agents we want to impact to fill the talent gap. Number one is the board of directors, because this is a group who make a significant decision and for the future of, business. And this is also the group who, a lot of time are more senior in terms of age and experience. And then they have left the learning or school or for a long time. And now that many of them are helping the company to make long-term strategic decisions. So how can they just really, have the knowledge to make that decision, have the right insights and also awareness to make sure that when they just help to guide the company to move forward, then, especially from the AI adoption, can adopt in a responsible way. So then we curate the course on responsible AI for board of directors. And, as a short course, help them to give them a framework, how to think, how to guide them to make decision, and what are the, the cases which AI is not being adopted responsibly, what will be the consequences, so then they can take it on and to guide their decision. The second group of, leaders we want to influence and make them as qualified responsible AI leaders, the executives, because the difference between board of director and executive is that board of director only need make decision, but those decisions are more as non-operational decision. For executives, that's, they need to make really executive decision which impact operation, impact the resources, impact the process, impact human capital, and all that. So where that's how can they just have a right tool to build the strategy for the organization, to redesign process, to reallocate the resources, to redesign even the work and product, and then they need to really have the right tool. So we developed the course on responsible AI for executive leaders. That is really help them to address, how to operationalize responsible AI challenge. And the third part of the group we want to impact from the talent side is the technical leaders, and where that's currently for one typical AI product team, you have over 30 some engineers, and then a one person who know about ethics. And so in the near term, that's this situation will not change, because we need the leader executives to really know that and then start resource differently. But how to enable the technical leader to really become a responsible leader as well, that can just really address the near-term gap, where that when they build, then they also build ethically, responsibly. So those are the courses that we are building and we are delivering. The third gap we see is the tooling gap. Any of the responsible AI can be translated into technical challenge, can be addressed by technical tools to, for example, remove PII data out of the data set, to just make your AI model explainable, and to just remove bias from the model. And all of them can be translated into technical tools. And those tools currently are not widely available. And also, even if it's available and it's difficult to be found, so we are building several initiatives, try to for example, like the responsible AI marketplace and other tools, try to curate how corporate business can find responsible AI tools easily, and how they can procure them easily, and how can they just also onboard the tools in the most cost-effective way and get the best customer service as well. So those are some of the tooling gap we identified and we try to address. And then this 500 people and basically working on filling these three gaps.
Well, that all these topics, I think, for people listening to us, are something that I think any company should be adopting and actually following up. So I have a couple of questions. So before we go to more into the AI, and I think one of the things you mentioned is AI, I would say the AI education awareness, because I think that is probably, I think it's actually the biggest risk, because of course, you and me are talking here about AI and we can talk for hours, but 90% of people, and I've been actually seeing almost 99%, everyone has a very kind of laid back approach to AI, and very few people are taking it serious, which is ironic, bearing in mind everything that is happening. And everyone, first, I remember even interviewing someone in my channel that say, well, it's not different from the electricity revolution or steam power or anything else. Well, it's very different. So let's touch about this part, and especially with your experience with members and with global fellows, the sense of urgency, because I think the challenge with AI is that, of course, as we speak, there's already a lot of global experts, and I'm included in this list. I think there's two kind of lists. There's the people that are panicking, and they might be bad, even the fathers of AI. So I'm not talking about small people. It's the major people. And for us, if you look at someone like Mark Stagmark, he even created actually an initiative to stop the developing of AI until there was international standards in terms of ethics and what you mentioned partly before. At that same time, there's other people that, okay, let's just go in the arms race and take this forward. So I know that you are very diplomatic. You work with the World Bank and you have all the United Nations. So how can we look at this? And I think especially bear in mind everything happening. And of course, for people listening to us, I don't want to alarm anyone, but I think we need to be very conscious that this is not a small thing. And for us, as you mentioned, your work in fintech, there's no risk. The ultimate case, there's some cybersecurity and issues around finance and things like that. In AI, there's potential risks, and we have people from the late Stephen Hawking that will be probably the biggest risk for humanity. We have Elon Musk talking in the panic button multiple times, and a couple of the fathers of AI highlighting this. But well, from your experience in particular, and I know that sometimes I speak about this, and first of all, we have to demystify what is the problem, and then we can get into that. And I know that you're very good on that because of your experience, but let's touch this. I think from their experience working with the industry and like you said, institutions, regulators, and of course, well, AWS is probably one of the biggest AI companies in the world as well. So you've been as well inside big corporations.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's for me, the number one challenge is really the narratives. And if, the industry or individual are being given wrong narratives, naturally that narrative will just, impact so many people. And the current narrative, I think, has a serious problem, and that is the racism. And, anyone who is, Gen AI is, creating all the exciting opportunities. And if, you don't do it now, and then you will lose. And then this is, the first layer of the narrative. The second layer of the narrative is, and the regulators are, slow, where that's, we cannot, they shouldn't, AI is a technology, shouldn't be regulated. Regulation is only, a small portion. So then we need to just advance before they regulate, do as fast as possible before regulation comes. And the third is that, even if AI, cause problem, has risk and all that, this is early, technology where that's just, do it and we figure out, we fix it. And with, the last one is that, no matter what, we are doomed. So those are the, four type of, narratives which are really dominating many of the discussion. And I have heard, no matter, at what, almost all levels, from the policymaker to the small startup and anything in between, using, those narrative to rationalize the irresponsible behaviors. So one, thing is that we need to create new narratives, and so make sure that, definitely business can benefit from AI, especially Gen AI now is the hot topic. And, but there are ways and how, business can do it responsibly. And then that is not the future, that should be now. And so there's nothing too late. And also the cost of not doing it, not only, to the company, but also to the bigger society will be, high. So those narratives need to be communicated through, influencer like you, like many others, within AI2030 fellows or evangelists, that we want to really just have the right folks who can just help to create or curate, the new type of narrative and bring the right message to, the public, to the corporate. So one of the way we do that is through the Responsible AI Pledge. So, where that's, if, the company can, without regulation, self-claim that we are going to do AI responsibly, we can start from something small by adopting a framework. We can, start doing something by regular reporting. We can do something small by just, hiring the right mix of people within an AI product. And by adopting, say, that's, include the audits, include, the multi-stakeholder engagement, and have broader community to engage in the AI design. So there are tons of activities where that's, you don't need regulation, you don't need to, and then you can do from now. And then that can tremendously to, change the past where that's your AI will, behave in the future. So if, all the companies started to take that small steps, take one commitment from a time, and naturally that we will just be able to achieve that accumulated goal in a much, easier way. So that's, for me, is really, critical. That's to create this global movement by changing the narrative, by engaging, different stakeholders in the conversation, and by introducing those wedges where that's small steps, small actions can be taken, and early result can inspire, longer, larger, type of actions. Those, I think, the things which guide AI 2030's program design, activity design, and broader stakeholder engagement. And definitely, I think we have a great group of people and who share the same vision, taking those steps together now.
Fantastic. And I think we need that. I think I am quite alarmed, but of course I'm excited because I'm building the technology. I'm an influencer, and of course we all deal with AI every day. I'm actually at the moment part of my day. I probably spend as much time with humans as I spend with AI systems and tools. Actually, as we speak, I think today there's a number that was announced public that is around 500 million people using AI tools. It's still a very small percentage looking at the world population, but that means people are using it. So coming back to the narrative, you touched the narrative, and the narrative is very important. I want to talk as well about the events, but that part I think is straightforward. But what can we do from your experience working in World Bank or United Nations, then big corporations like AWS, and now with industry network and events? What is the part? Because there's effectively a broken narrative, and the broken narrative for me, and that will be the big question, but I want your input, is that so there's in one end, and this is actually a challenge that I've been facing, okay, is that even in my team, I have a challenge with digital transformation. I'm not talking about AI. Digital transformation, how people use digital tools. And for instance, if you look at the world network of businesses, we're talking about 400, according actually to World Bank data, 400 million SMEs and micro SMEs, 54,000 public companies. And the macro data becomes very crazy because, of course, the average lifetime of a company is lower and lower. I think now is around 15 years. And this is probably for mature companies because startups is probably much, much less. And then at the same time, from these 400 million SMEs, 90% worldwide numbers don't have a website or digital presence. And then probably even from the 54,000 public companies, a big percentage of them have very small digital presence. And I've been actually finding that the hard way myself. So there's in one end, digital transformation. In one end, there's as well the concentration of technology, capacity, and the supremacy in a couple of companies. For if you look at NASDAQ, probably the top 100 companies of NASDAQ represent probably 90% of the world economy. And we have a huge challenge how all of this works together. So it comes back to narrative, but it comes back to education, and it comes back to perception. So of course, AI is not stopping. And as we speak, we're talking in potential advances of artificial general intelligence, which for the people listening to us is a stage where AI becomes sentient and becomes in a lot of ways thinking already a bit, or thinking whatever intelligence we talk, but there's a way that it can communicate with us. And we have, of course, all the narratives of Hollywood and Bollywood and all the science fiction in books that actually has been kind of captivating a couple of different narratives and paths. But it comes back to the way we can reshape the future of our businesses, the future of our finance. And like I said, bringing down the frameworks and very basic stuff, because not everyone, of course, is OpenAI, not everyone is Microsoft or Google, but in the end of the day, or even people like me that are really advanced, quite advanced in terms of tech, but there's a lot of things that I see people struggling to understand the basics. And I'm sure you have that every day. So what would be from this experience like a very practical part? And I think that's what I want to bring to the audience. Of course, you can talk big picture, moonshots, but very practicalities on the narrative for people listening to us that, first of all, are not panic. At least they're doing something wrong, because if they're not panic, that means they don't know what is going on. If they're panicking, okay, what can we do? And if they are trying to be practical, which will be the first, the fourth of the main focus that all of us should be focusing, practicality, how we can take this. And then another level, so I'm making the question bigger and complicated for you, but I think it's more an exchange. One of the challenges that most of the global leaders are saying is that in the next 24 months, mostly of the world economical systems are going to be redesigned by AI. And in some cases, it might be destroyed, to the case of in a kind of a dystopian scenario, a Blade Runner kind of scenario that can happen. And for instance, some authors speak about potential, it can happen a kind of an event of disruption where one of the AIs become rogue, or at least one system can take down a huge chunk of the economy. And of course, we had this with electricity, we had this with internet. There's nothing new. It's just the velocity and the capacity. So I know that is a big one, but I know that you talk with big areas and big thinkers. I would ask you, what's your views on this?
Yeah, so I just write and being quoted in a news article on that, and I fully agree with you that in the next 24 months, and the work will be redesigned. And, one core difference or differentiating factor between AI and other emerging technology is exactly that. Before, AI, that's human still play a dominating role in the work. Machine is a tool, and how machine is being used is being defined by human. And the emergence of AI is, really just create the need for the rise of human machine collaborative intelligence. And this is a new working pattern. And any of the work now, in the history till now, is being designed as a human-centered work. And the tools, machines is just a tool. And in the human machine collaborative intelligence, machine play, a very important role, and which is as important as human. So as you can think about now, that's all the jobs available now, who, your job, my job, and all that. And the framing, how our job were defined in the past, or how our job will be defined or designed with, human machine collaborative intelligence framing. The nature of job will be different, and how we do it will be different. And what results, your customers or your counterpart are looking for are different. So in that regard, this is, a tremendous change which will happen. The, job security in the, the now pre-AI or Gen AI era is disappearing, because all your job, any job you have, no matter CEO or your janitor, your job is going to be redefined or redesigned. And so no, job security for anyone. So that, is a challenge. That's also an opportunity. And so the opportunity here is that what role that humans want to play in this redesign process. And I think, there are very clear group of people who still want to just keep human as the main, play a dominating role in this and try to keep it. And then that's, the comparison can be just, those during the industrial revolution who just still, who run the, sheep farm and still just, try to keep it. And then that, definitely we see from history what will happen. And the other, part of the, group who really want to just promote machine to take a dominating role, and then to start to just, alarmingly to just really put the machine in the center of this new, working model. And then that's just make, then the claim is that the human in the future, the only job for us is to entertaining ourselves, entertaining each other. And then that's the future is definitely not a future which is good for anyone. And I think here is, the opportunity here is that, how we can play positive role in this redesign process. And that's, again, go back to our core focus as, the AI for all. And then here in this process, everyone have a role to play in redesign the potential work, and which are the job which you were familiar today. So that's why within AI 2030, and from our 3 membership group, we have the individual member, we have the startup member, we also have the corporate member. And each member, and then when we just, interact with them, and then our, empowerment related services are very different, because, they should participate in the process in a very different way. And then they need to be provided the different tools. And also they need to be aware of different framework, and also to access different knowledge. And so all that, is to say that it's not necessary that the SMEs will be the one who lost everything. And, there is an opportunity to re-engage and to redefine the future of the economic model operating at a larger scale. And say, for example, centralized economy versus the decentralized economy, and the decentralized organization versus centralized organization. And within this the power of SMEs, which are enhanced by Gen AI and can compete at the same level with the larger organization. There are a lot of very interesting new dynamics, which actually, like put the smallholders at the same starting point with the larger ones. And of course, that's, when we talk about Gen AI and from the foundational model, and naturally, there are a lot of things that need to be done at a societal level, renegotiation between the corporate and the society. But then at the application level, and then we'll see that many of the SMEs may have gained new advantage in competing with their larger counterparts.
I couldn't subscribe more. That this is actually not a simple task. And I think you touch a lot of different areas. Like, I think the redefinition of the future of work or present of work, because there's some thought leaders saying that there's only two kinds of jobs going forward: jobs where you tell machines what to do, and jobs that machines tell you what to do, or even not even that, because, well, depends of a lot of areas, and depends actually. I think for people listening to us, I want to, in one end, highlight the sense of urgency, because I just had, for instance, today a meeting with a researcher that is a double PhD, and there was no sense of urgency about AI. There was no sense of anything. But if a researcher PhD doesn't understand that is teaching people in universities, okay, there's a problem, because people don't understand. And in the meantime, of course, he allows a few stakeholders to take over the plan. Okay, so practical stuff here. So I want to go. So first of all, there's 3 events that you are planning. There's one that was already, and there's 2 more. But I would like to touch. So if you could tell us the dates for people that are not familiar. If you want to highlight some of the personalities as well, of course, we'll put all of these and all the links. And then as well, one of the things that I like that you're doing is that you, like you mentioned, there's a lot of the tech pulse, where you're going to pioneer enterprise AI innovations. There's a huge part of education events, and there's the AI Institute. So practicalities, I'm sure it's better to present by you. And as well, I know that you have specific areas like AI for business, AI for legal and compliance, and you have a couple of very high profile, you touch some of them, and AI for finance, which I know that is a big thing as well. And it takes you as well, because one of the biggest potential big risks is one of the AI takes over the world's financial institutions or something like that. That is not science fiction, it's possible. So just a bit of this kind of the mapping that you have for because we have 5 years to go, or 6, and as well in 5 years, definitely there will be, probably even in 6 months, we're going to have a lot of revolutionary things happen.
Yeah, definitely. And, from the event side, that's, as I shared earlier, that's the upcoming one is the Chicago AI Week from June 25th to 28th. And 25th is the industry day. And where that's, we have financial service, manufacture, transport, healthcare. And we talk about, how AI is impacting, those or transforming those industry, and what they learn, and what the best practice, and what challenge, and then, foster collaboration, cross-industry collaboration. And there that, we have the leaders like Chief Innovation Officer of Federal Reserve, and we have the former EVP of Wells Fargo, and we have JP Morgan Chase, we have, CIBC, we have Google, Microsoft, and all the big names, the company who really are doing something major in the space, and then they can share, their work. And the second day is we call the Impact Day. We talk about, responsible AI, AI for good, and AI for all. So there that, we have, for example, the Salesforce Impact leader, we have, the UN leader, and we have also an NVIDIA, we have Microsoft, and we talk about, how to make AI secure and all that. So the second day, basically, we dive deep into the 6 pillars within responsible AI. We also dive deep into the impactful cases, how AI can, solve climate change, poverty reduction, those kind of impactful problems. And then day 3, and that is the 1871, AI Innovation Summit, and where that's, we have 39 AI startup in the current AI innovation lab. And then, where that this is the innovation summit, where that's the entrepreneur investors working together, and then how, to solve problem of how they can scale. The last day is the Web3 Con, and where we just talk about how to just, using Web3 potentially to address the trust-related issue, to just look at the convergence between AI and the blockchain. And within, this is 4 days, and we have really a solid, speaker list with great use cases. And definitely, I think many of the problems we discussed today, you'll be able to find answer during those 4 days of the program. And after this, we have our next one will be in London. And that is also a week-long program. We collaborate with currency research. And the first 2 days, the digital currency conference. The second 2 days, the central bank AI conference. And I'm a co-chair of that conference. And the last day is the London AI conference with focus on how to leveraging AI to address the climate change, sustainable finance, and ESG related issue. And then the last conference of the year is in New York in December, and where that's, we mostly focus on responsible for financial institutions. So those are the core events, throughout the year that we are going to deliver. And we definitely welcome those who, listen to this show to be part of this. And at the show, I'd be happy to share that, at this show, we offer the discount code, and, using AI2030, and you can get a 30% discount. That is, for the audience of this show. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll put all this information. There's a lot of details here, so it depends on where you are in the world. Some of these events are going to be streamed or are going to be digital presented.
Yes, some of them will. Yeah, we have the hybrid offer as well. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. No, so I want just to touch 1 or 2 questions and then let you go, because I know that you're quite a busy gentleman. So from this event and from the upcoming parts that you're going to be doing, what would be the kind of the takeoff that you are trying to do, besides there's all the framework, all the different documentation and events, but is there anything related with bringing some of these things to big tech companies? Because you have a lot of these big tech companies there, but is there, because there's a sense of, and you have a great network with institutions as well, and of course a big work on that. Are you trying to push as well on that? Because at the moment, there's quite a lot of, we are in a week, and of course this interview, we don't want to be outdated immediately, but in a couple of weeks where we've been having almost every day a lot of very serious things happening in the industry, from Scarlett Johansson use of their voice without their permission. So hers is real. It's no longer science fiction. And this film was some years ago, but now is happening. And I think that's the reason I think that OpenAI did it on purpose, because they wanted to highlight that actually they did hers, which was, of course, for people knowing, Spike Jonze's film with Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix, that was mostly where I actually fell in love and actually had a relationship with an AI, I would say, voice dating platform. And actually that AI actually ended up actually leaving the person. But this is happening as we speak, because effectively we have more and more apps where people can date AIs. There was actually just, I always use this as an example, but this was just 1 month ago. There was one of the mainstream newspaper medias here in the UK stating that the cover, this wasn't the cover, saying, I dated AI and I left it for another one or for another something. This is happening as we speak, and a lot of people probably are not having conscious. So it's a bit dystopian. So how can we make this, like you mentioned, and to end up on the positive narrative, and I know that you're a very positive person, how can we make the narrative of this more positive, and as well join forces to really do, like you said, AI for good? You have Fintech4Good, the AI for good.
Yeah, and just at the conference, we have several announcements. That is exactly, some of the bigger picture we see, and we want to just, capture that moment. And One is, for AI 2030 hub in Chicago, we are going to jointly launch with 1871. So there, that's, the goal is, we try to use AI to, support the regional economic development. So there, that's, definitely from regional economic development, naturally education and entrepreneurship and the training and all that becoming really important. And where that's through this that we want to just position Chicago as the hub of global technology hub to, contributing to the, economic development. And this is not the only, city or region that's, seeking new competitiveness through AI or responsible AI. And then, I'm also a member of the Seattle AI Week. And, we can see that there are quite of cities or regions and then trying to just leveraging AI for regional economic development. So that is one type of, bigger picture. That is public-private partnership that we try to curate. The second is, we are going to launch our corporate membership program. And that's, as what you mentioned, that's, for example, large companies, and through the, responsible AI pledge, how we can help them to really take responsible AI leadership by taking, small steps, and then they can just grow into responsible AI leader, and through, the engagement. And then, that is another thing that's which I think quite relevant and important. The third is that, we also announced, the training for responsible AI for board of directors and all that. And then to by impact leaders at that level, where that's, to again, go back to the narrative, go back to the operational challenge, help them to figure out at a strategy level, at, the narrative level, and, what will be the right decision that they should be making. And then their decision will impact the broader community. And last but not least, that's, we also at the conference hosted the Women AI Leadership Gala. And so that is, one of the, AI for All initiative. We try to really feature the women AI leadership there, and also to having their story to inspire more women to enter into the tech space, take a leadership role, and also their leadership being recognized by the broader industry. So those are some of the, highlights in the near term that we plan to just, advance and together with all the members and the partners.
Well, first of all, congratulations. It's a fantastic program. We'll be promoting this here, this channel, in our social media channels. And for people listening to us, there's all the links somewhere here in whatever you're listening, or YouTube or Spotify or other channels, because this is distributed in around 20. There'll be as well clips distributed across the internet. If you are interested, and if you are in Chicago or London, just connect on this. And as well, check the code for discount if you are interested to go. So one last question, Xiaochen. So one thing that I know that is a more sensitive one, but I want to ask. Okay, one of the challenge with AI is definitely a bit of an arms race. So you are a citizen of the world, from China to the US, and as US citizen, but you as well been working in the UK and a lot of other countries. You did as well the conference in Hong Kong. How can we get at least around this kind of arms race that is probably one of the, I think is a silly discussion, but I still want to have your opinion on that. And I think it's a particularly important one for people listening to us.
Yeah, and I see the need of the collaboration a lot more than the competition, because the number one thing is that we need international standards. And if, AI cannot talk to each other, and you can think of our world will operate in a way which is so disconnected, and that isolation is not good for any party. So I think in general, from the standard setting side, there are international organizations who is trying to promote, this kind of standard setting collaboration, like ITU through AI2030 initiative, and IEEE and ISO. And at the standard level, there are still a lot of, collaboration happening. And in those committees or those, functions, and you see people coming from different countries sit together, talking about, how to set a standard right to, basically, for the future of humanity. The second part is that competition is unavoidable, where that's, we don't need to talk about, competition between countries, just within, each economy and regions or cities. And as I shared with you earlier, that in the US, we have, I was just at the IIA, summit at MIT. And then there that's, Massachusetts, government have established the AI task force and trying to position, Massachusetts as the leader, continue that leadership by bringing, they have allocated $100 million to back this, the AI advancement in the next 5 or 10 years. I forgot exactly the time. And you will see, here that I'm talking to Illinois, Chicago, government, and I have seen the AI task force from also Washington State and all that. And any of the city and the state see AI as a potential opportunity and also a differentiating factor. They want to just really, identify what is our unique opportunity, what is our unique advantage, and how we can just, create a gap. And that gap can just leave others a little bit further behind. And then we can keep this leadership role in the, longer term. So then that's, no matter it's across country or within a country, and it happening is not avoidable. But I think what is important is competing in the right framework with the right mechanism, and in the way it's healthy competition. I think that is, no matter it's internally or it's cross-border, and how to compete in the rational way, and which, follow the international, standard. There's a WTO, there's, all the existing, framework to guide the international competition. And I think that itself, is very important to continue to follow that. And the third part is that definitely, again, go back to the individuals. And for as of now, talent mobility is just a reality. And, any specific, efforts trying to just limit talent, relocate from one place to another is just, fertile. And where that's, so from this talent, global relocation of talent, and naturally there will be, potential collaboration at the individual level, or there are even, those undesirable collaboration, because, from the competition, and you always want to, and, have the protectionism and say, my talent stay in my city, my state, my country. That will not happen because of, this current reality, and talents always just, look for the better place for the family, for themselves. And then naturally, because of that, and then to just say that competition is the reality, that's not true. Because no matter what happened at the political level, and at the individual level, and the firm level, global supply chain level, there always be collaboration.
Fantastic. I love the positive notes, and I think everyone should focus on this, because that's what we need to do. Look at ways of fostering business innovation, but as well understand that there's a lot of opportunities in the middle of the challenge. It's been an honor to have you here again, and definitely I hope there will not be 2 years before the next one, and we'll have a lot of follow-up, both with you and all the different initiatives amazing that you're doing. And I wish you all the success for the endeavors that you have. And thank you for all your amazing as well work, putting together different people, different minds, different organizations around the world.
Thank you very much. And again, I definitely tremendously enjoy this conversation. And it's always just very insightful to having conversation with you. And I'm also a big fan of your work, Business ABC, and, all the, the broader ecosystem that you are building. And for sure, that's, startup or SMEs are underserved, and what you're doing is really serving them, and then to fill some major gaps. And definitely, I'm looking forward to working with you in the future on that as well. Yeah.
Thank you. It's an honor. I wish you all the best, and let's keep pushing forward.